Good. I'll just open it up for questions.
Willie, is there another level for this offense to get to? You talked several times about you thought there were some points left out there.
Yeah, I thought, we talk all the time about 4-point plays, scoring touchdowns instead of field goals. Ethan Sanchez, by the way, was named Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Week. So that's a great deal for him. Proud of him. I think it's the second time he's won it so far this season. But, yeah, we'd love to get touchdowns in those situations. And, points are great. Touchdowns are even better. So, yeah, there's a lot of room for improvement. And, offense, defense, kicking game. We can play better than what we did last Saturday. We know that. But there were times we played well in all three phases.
How did you come out of the Oklahoma State game health-wise?
I'm trying to think of anybody that's out for sure. I've kind of drawn a blank on it. I know are we sending that out Wednesday, I believe? Wednesday. I'm trying to think of who.
For those who saw Stacy walked off.
Stacy. There's one right there. Stacy Sneed is definitely going to be out this week. He's injured. It's going to be 2 or 3 weeks. We got a lot better, diagnosis than we thought initially. I was worried, and so was he and everybody, that it was a season-ending injury, but it's not. Who else did you see? We had some guys banged up, and I know Stacy's the one guy for certain that will not be able to play this week.
Willie, if I could go to the game, just some stuff we didn't get to ask you afterwards from personnel standpoint. Wyckoff didn't start, but then you had him play a little center, and then you moved him back to right. Was there anything behind?
We were just trying to. We got 6 guys that were rolling and playing a bunch. We got Mackenzie Agnello. We got Demetrius Hunter. We've got Alvin, left tackle. We got Merriman at right tackle. Matthew Wyckoff's playing a bunch. Jason Brooks. So those 6 guys are kind of rolling at those 5 spots. I'm certain that 5 of those 6 guys are going to start this week. We'll see where and, those kind of things. But, we got to build up a little bit more depth. David Ndukwe's out for the season. That hurt us. But, those 6 guys are playing those 5 spots.
And 2 other personnel. So beforehand, Machado no longer with
he is quit. He is not on the team anymore.
And then you had when you look at some of the receivers that are starting to work their way in, you have David Williams listed, but he hasn't been available to play. Right. I guess the last few. Is there any update on him in terms of what?
Well, we're hoping it's kind of a day-to-day deal. I just got done talking with him a little while ago, but obviously we can't play him until he feels healthy enough to get out there and play. But hopefully that's going to be sooner rather than later. But we'd love to get him back out there, but can't do it until we get total clearance from everybody. It's kind of a week-to-week deal.
Coach, going back to the Oklahoma State game, Connor Wigman said at the half, during halftime, that we score on every drive from here. We score from every drive from here and now on. Like, how does his confidence just help spirit up the team?
Oh, I think it's outstanding. I think he might have said that sometime in the second quarter, first quarter. I'm not sure, but the guys did pretty much score from that point forward. But hey, you want to have that out of your quarterback, and you'd love to have your quarterback, be a leader for you. That doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes I've had some quarterbacks who are really kind of silent guys, didn't say much, but Connor's got great leadership qualities, and it's great when your quarterback has that kind of confidence and conveys that to the rest of the offense. So, yeah, I'm proud of him for, seeing that that's what we needed to do and conveying that to the rest of the offense.
And then sticking with Connor, so last week he was in concussion protocol, and then this week he's having a career day. So what did you see from him this week that attributed to that?
Well, he felt great. Anytime there's an issue or problem, that's the first step in how you do things. He probably could have practiced the whole week, but we got him into protocol. We kind of went through it, and he felt fantastic. And and you're right, he came out and played a fantastic game. So really proud of him and how he handled the week, and how the rest of the players handled the week as well.
Coach, how did you rate the team's performance and their ability to bounce back coming off of a loss?
Well, you always want to, bounce back when you have a tough one the week before. I thought our guys, did an outstanding job of flushing it down the toilet. We talked about that quite a bit on a week ago Monday, how important it was to, flip the page and move on to the next challenge. And we had a pretty darn good week of practice, good preparation, which we always stress with our guys. But same thing as I said last Monday, we need to, forget about that game. We've done our corrections. We've watched the tape. We've seen what we need to improve on and move on to Arizona.
Willie, more of a broader question on where you guys are right now at 5-1. You're 1 win away from becoming bowl eligible. I know your goals are much higher than that, but where this program is now, the support that's back at University of Houston with the don't find me for that. Sorry about that. Where the program is right now and the support that's there, what does this mean right now that you're on the cusp of something special, taking that next step for the program?
Well, one of the things I talk to our guys about all the time too is you got to relish the grind of the season, and every week is its own season, in order to be elite, you got to be consistent with your preparation week after week after week after week after week. And so we just, all we're doing is talking about Arizona and playing better and improving on offense, defense, kick game. There's a lot of things we can improve in, and we're, one of the things I challenged our coaches with yesterday too is this is the midpoint of the season, right? We played 6 games. What are we doing good? Let's find ways to accent that. What are we not doing as well? We need to get rid of it, we've tried to make it better, but it hasn't become good enough for us to be successful with it in games, whether it's a run play, pass play, front, coverage, something we're doing in the kicking game. So we really spent a bunch of time yesterday evaluating, what we've been good at and what we haven't been good at, and streamlining what we're doing a little bit and finding different ways to be successful with the plays that we're successful at.
Willie, you had some younger guys get in a game, Zane Smith, Austin Carlisle. What does it mean to get those young guys that kind of experience at this
It's
point?
huge. It really is. I just think it's how you build your team. You love doing it to get a guy in who has worked their tail off and hasn't had a chance to play, and he gets out there in a real, Power 4 football game. That's a big deal. So there's a couple guys who are like that, but there's some other guys that got an opportunity to show us what they can do, and they can parlay that from 5 plays to 10 plays, and then maybe 15 plays at some point in time. And like Austin, his first time he's played in a big time, Division I Power 4 football game. I thought he handled himself quite well. Did a good job with it, and now next time he goes in, it won't be his first time.
During the game, third and fourth quarter, there was a group of fans that all came together across the field from you, shirtless, screaming. Did you notice that?
I didn't notice it during the game, but I've had a lot of people send me that. So, as part of we want our students to have fun too. I don't know if we need them all taking their shirts off, but I think it's that's part of going to college. Those are the memories that you make that last a lifetime. So, I looked like a pretty neat deal. Started with 1 and ended up with probably 1,000. I'm guessing. I don't know, but looked like they had a pretty good time.
Coach, you touched on it before, but what does it mean to have somebody like Ethan Sanchez being able to contribute the way that he has when you're not able to, score, the touchdowns and still be able to, walk away with 3 points with his
Well,
actions?
it's big time. We talk about the magic 30-yard line. We get inside the 30-yard line, we feel really good about coming away with points. Can't have any minus plays once we get inside the 30. Plus, he can extend his range a little bit further than that. And that's the reason why we got him. He's great at his previous institution, I think he's 14 to 16 here, and I think a 47-yarder and a 50-yarder, or maybe his misses. I'm guessing, and he almost hit one of those. So he's an elite field goal extra point guy. Does a great job with it.
Willie, if I could go back a few minutes where you mentioned some of the things you've talked to your coaches about at the halfway point that you like, that you don't. Can you kind of elaborate? What are some things that you like, and maybe moving forward, what you'd like to have work on?
I'm not going to elaborate too much on it because our opponent might see what I'm talking about. I want them to prepare for everything that we've been doing, but there's. I remember one time when I was coaching, as a head coach and the defensive coordinator, I loved a specific zone blitz that I'd had a lot of success with, and over the years, and people caught up with it, and I begrudgingly quit doing it because it sucked. We weren't having the success that we had had previously, and I think part of it was because more people were running that particular zone blitz. So it just find what you're doing good. And don't just keep beating your head against the wall because you want to run something that you think is good.
Maybe in vaguer terms, but for instance, y'all done well ball security.
Done great ball security. It's really more of we're always going to emphasize ball security, tackling, takeaways, blocking, getting in a proper fit, those kind of different things. But it's more, the different run plays that you're running. The different pass plays, style of pass plays, 3-step, 5-step, sprint out, boot. There's some things that are, screens. What are you having success with and what are you not having success with?
Is it fair to say that the pre-snap penalties are still?
Yeah, we're not. We won that area. They had 5, we had 3, but we'd rather have none. It's. I think Coach made a comment that we scored a touchdown. First time we'd had a penalty on the drive this year offensively. And I hadn't noticed that myself. But we need to stay away from pre-snap penalties, penalties that anybody can call. Just watching the game. Those guys with their shirts off, they all could have called, pre-snap penalties, right?
Coach, looking at Arizona this week, they took BYU to 2 overtimes. What stands out to you about what they do and what they do well?
You think they throw the ball all over the place. They got a great quarterback. They really do. We played against them last season, but they've got an outstanding run game, and I watched the game. We got home early enough. I was able to watch the game. Plus they had a rain delay, which I don't know how long. I guess that game probably took 5 hours from beginning to end with the delay in there. But they really have a dynamic running attack as well. And then defensively, they're in their front. They just do a lot of stuff. Not quite as complex on the back end, but on the front end, they do a lot of stuff. Even, odd, second level, dropping guys. So it's a different defense than we've seen so far this year. Different style.
And you kind of hit on it earlier. How do you, compare the two teams? You faced them last year. How have they been different from that time?
Totally different defensively. They're really playing good defense this year. Offensively, there's some similarities, without question. But it all starts with the quarterback. He is, really, he's good out of the pocket. A lot of quarterbacks are good in the pocket. He's also really good out of the pocket, very accurate when he gets outside the pocket. And then he can run it when he needs to tuck it and run it. But it starts with that guy.
Willie, Ethan Sanchez's outward confidence, is that unusual in a kicker to show that much confidence? Do you enjoy it?
No, I've had quite a few of them. I got a guy that's working for me who's my director of football operations, Shane Meyer. He's a 2-time All-American for me. And he's a very, very, very confident guy. Would you say so, Fletcher? Yeah, he's a confident guy. So most of them are like that. Younghoe Koo, when he played for me, he was a very confident guy. Tyler Bass, when he played for me, very confident guy. Most of my great kickers have had a lot of confidence. You need to at that position.
Willie, Harvey Broussard, he got his first touches since week 1 against Oklahoma State. And one of them was a touchdown. So what have you seen out of him just in practice leading up to the game?
Well, I talked to Harvey, after the ball game, and I was really proud of him with his perseverance, fighting through adversity. A lot of guys would have, been a baby and pouted and not continued to keep, fighting and scratching and clawing, and especially that position. Sometimes we're lucky we don't have it here, but some places the wide receivers are kind of selfish. I don't know if you've ever noticed that before, but he's been very unselfish, and I'm just proud of his resiliency.
Amari has been especially good on like critical downs, first and third down. What is it a matter of when Connor develops a trust factor, maybe, or the guy proves himself? Though, what makes what Amari's doing so effective?
Well, he's I talked about it, I guess, with him last week, and I think he had his first missed assignment this week. He lines up right, he does what he's supposed to do, and that's half the battle. And if you can do that, quarterback's going to have faith you're going to be where you're supposed to be. You're going to break your right off early, or you understand that versus this coverage, you may, change your route and what you're going to do. But he's, and then he's, very talented. He's got good hands. He catches the ball and concentrates on it over the middle. But he just doesn't make very many mistakes. And, a lot of that is just releases, understanding coverages, and, and what he's supposed to do. So, he's really good overall football player. He'll block too.
Willie, the internal player leadership on this particular team, how have you seen that grow, and how important is that?
Well, our theme this year is Houston 2025. In this day and age with the portal and NIL and rev share and all those other kind of things, guys are going to be moving. And we want to keep guys here forever and develop the heck out of them. I think that's the only way you can truly develop a guy. But we want these guys to, get that closeness that great teams have, and we got to do it in a hurry, because when this year gets over, this will be the last time that this group of guys will be together. And it's like that every year. You lose your seniors, obviously, but it's even more in this day and age. We talked about, we're cooking things like we're cooking it in a microwave, not an oven. Cooking it for 2 minutes, not 40 minutes. So that's why you got to establish these relationships quickly. And we do a lot of things as a team. And then the other thing I'm really proud of my coaches, I think they brought a lot of good guys in. We didn't have that opportunity the year before, and we brought a bunch of great guys in that year too, but we didn't have an opportunity to vet guys like we did this year.
Coach, Dean Connors had a spectacular outing against Oklahoma State, a one-handed catch and then another over the field. He just brings that energy to the running back position, with some fans likening him to a certain Cam Scatterboo, if you might recall. How does his intensity and drive just empower the team overall?
Well, he's another guy. He's a really intelligent football player. He is not starting for us on any kicking game, but he's a backup in some. And we were in there this morning with our meeting at 7, and he's in there taking notes. He just follows along. Some guys, relish the grind physically and mentally. He's one of those guys. Some guys, it's hard for them to do it day after day after day after day after day after day. He can do it, and he's he's kind of a old school kind of guy. He loves practice, and he does everything well. He lines up well. He blocks. He runs in the core. He runs on the perimeter. He can catch the ball, as you saw, and then has a lot of juice and energy all the time. So, he's one of our leaders without question. That's unusual for a guy who got here so late.
Willie Slade had mentioned to us last week that he was wanting to maybe on the scripted plays to start the game to shake things up a little bit. Did you do any, from outside being able to see, did y'all feel like you did something different, or did you do?
Yeah, we got to third down and we converted. and it was a good opening drive. Obviously, anytime you score a touchdown on an opening drive, it's big time. But with those openers, we're not going to run a play that we haven't run on numerous occasions. Now they ran a couple different things against us. Matter of fact, first play they ran a front that they had not shown in the previous 5 games. But we knew that might occur, so we were because it was a second game that interim defensive coordinator called the game, so he was going to probably mix it up and do things a little bit differently. So we wanted to run plays that we've run a bunch, and so that we weren't completely and totally surprised.
Coach, going back to Gene Connors, when was the last time, if you remember, that you had a running back make a one-handed catch like that?
Oh, I've had a lot of dudes. I've been coaching since '82, so I've had some Tajay Spears, a kid that plays with the Titans. He had an unbelievable catch one time. But, I just it was really good. It was a hell of a catch. It was it was the guy kind of got a little bit of friction on him when he was coming, and I thought Connor did a good job of making sure that it was the only person who was going to catch that ball was going to be Dean. But it was a hell of a catch. I mean, he's done some of those in practice too. So, I was pumped up, but it didn't surprise me. He made that catch. I've seen him make a lot of really good catches.
Willie, what makes Carlos so disruptive, and how have you seen him improve? And what did you see from him a few years ago?
He's our leading tackler, which is really unique rare for a defensive interior lineman to be your leading tackler 6 games into the season. He's got you measure hands and when you got 10, that's a really big hand. He's got 11.4, which is like a guy who's 7 foot tall. So it's really unique. So he's able to get his hands on people, and we call it primary gap, secondary gap. When the ball goes in there, he's got good lateral movement. He's got good, vertical penetration movement. He's got a tremendous wingspan. So even though he's 6'1", pro measure, he's got the hands and the arm length of a guy 6'5", 6'6". So that helps him out, and he's smart. He's a smart player. Sometimes we got to make sure that he understands. Hey, don't try to do your own thing. Stay within the system, and it'll come to you. But he's just a really good football player, both against the run and the pass, and you can do different things with him, and he can adjust his game, during the game.
Coach, Latravion McCutcheon had an interception against Oklahoma State. What stands out to you about him and just maybe the overall linebacking room that you have?
Well, he's getting better. We found a good position for him. When we first got here, he's kind of playing linebacker, and then we kind of came in with the odd front and having an outside linebacker position. And I think it really fits his skill set. He's 6'2", 6'3", 240, 245. He got great speed. He's also got great length. So he can play on the line of scrimmage. He can play out in space. He can play what I call a wraparound linebacker. So he can do a lot of things. And for that position, we need that. And we're really fortunate they've got him and Brandon Mack playing that position. We've always got a stud out there on the field.
Coach, what did you see defensively that allowed Oklahoma State to kind of execute that trick play they ran?
Oh, we knew they were going to run a bunch of trick plays, and why not? That's what I told our guys. Why wouldn't they? So they just did a good job of putting guys in different positions, and it ended up being from, we hadn't seen it from that position where they threw it to the Wildcat, threw it to the receiver out there, and he threw the ball and it went up the gut. There's a lot of window dressing, and that's why it's so important to have your eyes fixed on the, your man of responsibility, your key. Our eyes drifted a little bit, and That's what allowed them to. It's probably I don't know, a third of their offensive production on that one play. How long was it? 65 yards or something. It was a long one. But yeah, the greatest physical attribute of a football player is his eyes. There's a bunch of stuff going on. You got good eyes, you got a chance to be successful. Thanks, Coach. Good. Thank you all.